Alright, hello and welcome everybody. What is going on? So this is MiaSanMiaTV. Since I probably won't be here for like 2 weeks or so, I decided to do a player rating, I guess, for this half season. For obviously the Hinrunde. For the first part of the season, I decided to do that. And that's why we're doing the player rating. And I decided I might as well do it like this, so you guys actually know the players. Have a good look at the players, and then you can essentially do a player rating yourself, much easier in the comment section down below. So we're gonna start with the goalkeepers, obviously. Let's see where my mouse is. There it is. We're gonna start with Neuer. Neuer for me, yeah. And the way I'm gonna rate this is, I'm gonna give a 10 would be perfect, 9 would be very, very good, 8 would be very good, 7 would be good, 7 would be good, 6 would be okay, 5 would be bad, 4 would be very bad, 3 would be terrible, 2 would be abysmal, 1 would just be a total failure. But luckily to say, there is no way it has been a 1. So let's actually judge the players individually. Obviously, a lot of players haven't actually played much. I'll try and judge them as good and as best as possible as I can, however. So anyway, let's just get started with Manuel Neuer. For me, he has been I actually forgot what I just said. He's been probably a 7. Which I believe I said was okay. I hope I said that. It was probably a good, to be fair, but he hasn't really had much to do. Everyone always goes on about our defense. Everyone always says how, our defense has done errors here, errors there, and whatnot. But I don't feel like Neuer had actually that much to do so far. You look at, I think overall our defense has actually been very solid. I just think they have had 1 or 2 mistakes in every one of the matches. And that's why for me, Neuer, he hasn't really done much. He's been there when really needed, but he hasn't really been spectacular, neither has he been bad, so I'm just going to give him a 7. Next up, you have Sven Ulreich. I don't think Tom Stark has actually played this season, so next up you have Sven Ulreich, who I think played 2 matches. One where, remember, I wasn't very convinced with him, the other one where I thought he did okay. So just on that basis, I'm going to give him a 6, just considering that he played basically half the matches. 1 out of 2 matches, pretty bad, and the other one he played okay. I'm going to give him a 6. That's what I'm going to do. Next up, Rafinha, who actually got a new contract today. I wasn't sure if I should make a video on Lewandowski and Rafinha getting a new contract, because it just feels like I'm making videos about contracts every single day, and I feel like there isn't that much to talk about when a player gets a new contract. I mean, you can talk about how good they are, how great they are, but or maybe how bad they are and how they shouldn't deserve a contract. But is that really worthy of being a video? I feel like that'd be much more worthy of being like a text or whatnot, a Twitter message or something like that. I don't think it's really worthy of making a full-blown video out of it. So that's why I didn't make a video out of Rafinha getting a new contract. But he's got a new contract, and I think so deservedly. I think he's actually, and it hurts me to say this, he's actually probably been our best right back this season. It actually hurts me to say that because I love Lahm, but I feel like Lahm this season, he has looked very, very shaky defensively. Going forward, he's looked pretty good, but defensively, he's actually looked pretty shaky. And just for that reason, Rafinha who's actually looked good offensively and good defensively as well. He's probably been the best right back this season. So for me, he gets a 7.5. I can't really remember him having a bad game, and overall I've been mostly impressed with him so far this season. So for me, that's a 7.5. I also kind of find it weird how Boateng has like a lighter picture, whereas everyone else has like a grey. Well, Boateng and Badstuber have a lighter picture, whereas everyone else has like a grey picture. I really find that interesting. But or not a lighter picture, but you can actually see the shorts. I mean, but Boateng, let's go Boateng next. I think that for me, he probably has been a 7. He's had one pretty bad game, but besides that, I can't really remember him having a terrible game. He hasn't really been a rock like he has been in the past, but I feel that he has been fairly good. I wouldn't really say bad just because of one game. So no, that's not the case. But yeah, for me, he gets a 7. Next up, Juan Manat. he's been a revelation. I always believed in Juan Minard, you know, before the season started. So many people said, oh, you know, he was absolutely terrible last year. You should just try and sell him and get someone else. And I was like, oh, what's wrong with you guys? You know, he's been, you know, for 2 years, right? He's had one very good season and one very bad season. To me, that just equals out. I don't really say, okay, you've had one really bad season. That's it. Let's kick him out. Who says that? You know, I was hurt, alright? I was hurt, but it just makes me feel happy now that, you know, he's been playing so well. He's been absolutely fantastic. Let's be realistic here. And for me, I'll give him a 7.5. I think he's been very, very good. I think he's been very, very underrated as well, which is normally the case with Bernat and Rafinha, that they're generally fairly underrated just because they're not Lahm or Alaba. Yeah, that's the way it really is. If you don't look at, if we didn't have Lahm or Alaba, I think we'd rate Bernat and Rafinha a lot higher than we do right now. Anyway, next up, Philipp Lahm, the captain. I didn't mention that. I thought he's probably been. I thought that, like I said, I thought that Rafinha has probably been a better right back this season. But the thing with Lahm is, and I'm gonna mention that right now, if it was just a right back, he'd probably get probably a 6.5 to a 7. However, I'm going to give him a 7 right now, and the reason for that is that when he's played in midfield, he's actually looked really, really good. Which just shows you that age is catching up with him, that he can't really do the job going forwards and going backwards again. But when he's in midfield and he has to do much less running and much more thinking, then Philipp Lahm is still, a very, very, very good player, and that's why for me Lahm gets overall a 7. Like I said, if I was just to judge him on like the right back position, probably a 6.5. But if I'm including or if I were just to judge him on the midfield position, I'd probably give him a 7.5. That rounds up to a 7, and that's why Lahm for me gets a 7 overall. Next up, David Alaba. I don't really know what to make of Alaba. At the beginning of the season, I thought he's looking a bit shaky in defense there. But as soon as, but in attack he was fantastic. And then when Ribery got injured, his form was just okay. It wasn't really that good. It wasn't really that great. It was just okay. And as soon as Ribery came back from being injured, Alaba started to play really, really well again. Not just offensively, not just combining in the attack, but also defensively. So I don't know what it was, but it was just like a whole transformation. So for me, Alaba, I'm going to give him a 7. Just because I think when he's been good, he's been great. But I feel he's been, a lot of times, he's been very, very bad defensively as well. So I'm just basically balancing that out, the good and the bad. So for me, he gets a 7. Next up, Badstuber. He hasn't really played much. He played 2.5 games, I think. One game where he came in, I think he played 2 full matches. Don't quote me on that, but I really can't make a judgment right now. I really can't make a judgment because I think the one game where he played, he was at fault for a goal, so obviously I'd have to drop him down for that. But then again, he's only really come back from injury, and he hasn't really had time to integrate himself into the team to get full match fitness. So am I gonna judge Badstuber, a returning Badstuber essentially, not a fully fit Badstuber? I don't know. If I just judge him, I'd probably give him like a 6 or a 6.5. But like I said, it's not really fair to judge him on that aspect because he's still returning. Even right now, he's still returning. And is it really fair to judge him that way? I'd say no. So I'm gonna say no. But like I said, I'll probably give him like a 6.5 or a 6 overall. Next up, Mats Hummels. Now Hummels is a weird case. Javi technically should be in the defense department as well, but Hummels and Javi have basically been, they've basically been the opposite, if that makes sense. Hummels at the beginning of the season, he was very bad. He was very bad. Most of the time he was caught out of possession, but and that ultimately caused us to concede a goal. But that's what I'm saying. They've been the opposite, Javi and Hummels. Hummels now is our best defender. Hummels, as of right now, which is December 16th, 2016, Hummels has probably been our best defender so far overall. Because as I mentioned, Hummels like the first 5-6 games or so, he's really struggled. But since then, he's been absolutely fantastic. And It's just weird. It's just honestly, it's just strange. Obviously, you'd expect that with obviously him joining the club and whatnot. So him having to get used to the players, him having to get used to the system, him having to get used to Ancelotti, him having used to get everything essentially, the whole environment. Although you could make the argument that he plays for Germany, and obviously you had Lahm there, you have Boateng there, and you have Neuer in goal. So you could make that argument, yes. But Boateng wasn't fit at the beginning of the season, so let's take that argument away again. But yeah, Hummels, I think he's probably been our best defender. Have I missed anyone? Yeah, I think he's probably been our best defender so far. I'm gonna give him an 8. Why am I giving him an 8? For me, it's just because the first 5, 6, 7 games or so, he wasn't that well. He wasn't that good, but he wasn't that bad. I'm gonna be very careful what I'm saying. He wasn't that bad. Like I said, just purely defensively, I'd probably give him like a 6.5. No, you know what? Purely defensively for the first 5 or 6 matches, I'd probably give him a 6. But because he was so good with his passing, even when he was bad defensively, even when he was caught out of position a lot of times, his passing was still as sharp as it has always been. So for that, I'll raise him to a 6.5. And just the way he's been playing recently, that is probably like an 8 to an 8.5. So I'm giving him an 8. I'm giving him an 8, and that's what I'm going to stick with. Hummels, for me, he gets an 8. Like I said, probably our best defender of the season so far. But then we get to the best player of the season so far, which is Thiago. Thiago, our best player of the season. I think WhoScored.com actually, in terms of statistics, actually have him as the best player in the top 5 European leagues, the best player in the world, essentially, which is very, very, yeah. From what I have seen, I'd say yes. Thiago, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. For me, straight away, I'm giving him a 9 out of 10. Why I'm not giving him a 10 out of 10? I think he's lacking a bit of productivity. I think if he scored a few more goals or maybe assisted a few more goals, I wouldn't see a reason why not to give him a 10 out of 10. But so far, 9 out of 10, awesome. He has been absolutely awesome. Yeah, I don't think there needs to be much said about Thiago because he's just been, if you watch Bayern, every single week he is performing at the highest level, and what more do you want? Consistency at the highest level. What more could you possibly want? Anyway, next up, Ribery. I'm giving Ribery an 8 out of 10. I think he's done very well. Obviously his productivity shows that. His productivity per minute shows that. But I also feel that sometimes he just does stupid mistakes. I'm not talking about fouls in general, because obviously that'd be a whole different topic. But I'm talking just in general. I feel like sometimes he just does a few stupid mistakes, and he has to really cut them out. Where he maybe spends too much time on the ball, thinking that he can dribble past 5, 6 players. I mean, he used to be able to do that. Let's be realistic. He used to be able to do that, but now it just seems like he still. He needs to, I guess you could say, he needs to realize the limits of his body right now, and that's why for me he gets an 8. What does he have to do to get higher? I think he just needs to. He needs to realize his strengths right now and realize what he has lost in terms of pace, in terms of trickery, in terms of quickness on his feet. And once he realizes that, I think that he's gonna probably go up to like an 8.5 or a 9, in my opinion. But next up, Javi. Javier Martinez. At the beginning of the season, he would have probably been an 8. At the beginning of the season, he would have probably been an 8. But just with the way he's been playing recently, I mean, to be fair, he kind of saved us against Leverkusen, and there was another game where we had a handball, which wasn't seen. But yeah, he's not been that good recently, but he was so good at the beginning. So at the beginning, I would have given him an 8. Right now, I would probably give him a 7. So let's give him a 7.5 overall, and that's what I'm gonna go with. I might as well mention it. What do I think he would do to get a better grade, to get a better mark? I'd say just play like he did at the beginning of the season. Honestly, just play like he did at the beginning of the season. Next up, Arjen Robben, the Dutchman. I'm probably going to give him an 8. It's difficult to judge Robben. It really is difficult to judge Robben, because I think, for me, every time he's played, he's looked good. Every time he's played, he's looked absolutely fantastic. but he isn't quite a 9 and he isn't quite an 8.5 either. But I wouldn't put him anything below an 8. So for me, I'm giving him an 8. What do I think he needs to do? I think there are still, and especially this year, when he's one-on-one with the keeper, normally he would be clinical. He'd chip the keeper, he slotted past the keeper, but this season he hasn't really done that. He's kind of lost his composure a little bit in front of a goal. I mean, he's always still dangerous for a goal here or there, but I feel like he's kind of lost his composure a little bit. So for me, that really needs to be sorted. But how many players have we got left? I need to go somewhere. I should have gotten there in about 5 minutes ago. But next up is Douglas Costa. Costa, he's been forcing the issue. That's what I've liked about him this season. He's really been forcing the issue. Every time he's on the ball, he wants to create, he wants to try and score, he wants to do this, he wants to do that, but it hasn't really come up for him this season, and that's why for me, I'm probably going to give him a 7.5. He hasn't really been bad. He's been forcing a lot of the issue, but sometimes his decision making, I mean, that's basically a problem that I've had with him for the longest now, is his decision making, and that just needs to improve, and I feel like that is going to improve. So for now, that's a 7.5. Obviously, if his decision making was better, pass at the right moment, shoot at the right moment, then I would give him much higher and much better. So that's just what I think of Douglas Costa. Next up, Alonso. Probably. You see, Alonso is difficult because he has so many flaws. He has, let's be realistic, I'm not going to make a thing out of it. He has a lot of flaws, but he also offers a lot to the team. Now, there is also a problem I have. I mean, besides the flaws and obviously the benefits that he gives, which I'd probably give him a very generous 7, I think. Probably a 6.5. Because I feel like this half the season he hasn't really been that good. I think he's been more often than not a liability. So for someone that I expect, and that honestly I expect him to do much better. For someone like that, it's just a little bit disappointing. Honestly, that's my overall general feel. That it's just a little bit disappointing. But the question is, should I judge? Besides obviously what I've just said, should I judge Alonso negatively because based on the fact that we have to play a 4-3-3 essentially with Alonso in the team? So I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair for me to do so. So I'm going to stick with a 6.5. I just think that's an issue I should point out, that with Alonso in the team, we essentially have to play a 4-3-3. That's just the way it is. So is that his fault? No, it's not his fault. But it's still something to note. That's all I'm going to say. It's still something to note. Next up, Arturo Vidal. I think I'm going to give him a 7.5. I don't think he's been as great, but I don't think he had really needed to be. Because for me, he's always a player that once we need him, he'll be there. But when we don't really need him, he won't really stand out. So for me, once we play against difficult teams and whatnot, we'll truly notice him. But right now, I don't think he's been a 10. I don't think he's been a 9. I don't think he's been an 8. I think he's been much better than a 7. So for me, he is a 7.5. Next up, Joshua Kimmich, or should I say Joshua Kimmich? Probably a 7.5 as well. I don't think he's got a lot of goals, obviously, but besides that, he's been good. So I think overall he's been good, but because he scored so many goals at crucial moments in the season, I'm going to give him a half a point extra, and he gets a 7.5 from me. Obviously, like I said, he was very good at the beginning of the season, but he's kind of faded off right now with our midfield returning, and that's no fault against him, but it just shows that although he was that good at the beginning of the season, he's still not going to replace Thiago or Vidal or Alonso. So I still think, obviously for his age and whatnot, that's a very, very good, for his age and the position that he plays in, where the competition is so fierce, I still think a 7.5 is a very, very, very good score. So yeah, 7.5 from me for Kimmich. Next up, Sanchez. Yeah, that's a difficult one. That's a very difficult one, and that's for one reason. I really don't like seeing that age, because he's 1 year younger than me and he's playing for Bayern. I don't like that at all. But Sanchez, it's a weird thing because Sanchez, he's gotten better and better as the season progressed. Yeah, if we look at the beginning of the season, he probably would have gotten a 5. But now we look at the end of the season, and 5 is a bit hard. If we look at the beginning of the season, he probably would have gotten a 6. But now that we look at the end of the season, I probably would give him an 8. So where do I put him? I guess I put him at a 7. Like I said, he's just gotten progressively bad. That's what really makes me happy. That's honestly what really makes me happy, that he's just gotten progressively better, because that means that maybe by the end of the season he'll be probably the best player in the squad. I don't think I don't think that's really how it works out, but yeah, I don't think that's really how it works out, but it's a very nice trajectory to have. It's really nice seeing that he's constantly improving, and just for that, I'm very happy with that. Dorsch and Benko haven't really played, so I can't really judge them. Dorsch, I want to see more of. I mentioned that before. For me, okay, no, you know what? Our midfield is really, really stacked, but I still think that Dorsch really, he can establish himself. I really do think so. Benko, I'm still not sold on Benko 100%. I think he's a great talent, but I just need to see more of him. That's the whole point. The last 4 players, I really need to. I needed to go 10 minutes ago. I'm gonna be late like always. But Lewandowski. Beginning of the season, an 8. He got 2 hat-tricks or 3 hat-tricks in like 3 games. So big 8 or 8.5 essentially. Yeah, let's give him an 8.5. And then he had a massive dry spell, which I'll give him a 6. Yeah, I'll give him a 6. And lately, he's been really, really good. So I'm going to give him a 7. Obviously, 6, 7, 8. Overall, he gets a 7 from me. He extended his contract, which is obviously very good. And it's just, yeah, overall, I think he's been probably a 7. Not really fantastic, not really bad. He's been good. I think that's the best thing I can say. He's been good so far. There are still a few instances when I think that he should pass. Yeah, not in terms of the scoring ability, but in terms of passing ability. For someone that is as talented as him, I feel like he sometimes makes the wrong options when passing. He sometimes makes the option that would help him get goals instead of help the team get goals, and that doesn't always work out. So for me, that just really needs to improve, and he needs to not really improve because he's got the ability. He just needs to, I guess, improve his decision making for the team. But that's what I think about Lewandowski. S7 overall. Muller, he gets a 6 from me. Obviously, it's had not been a kind half season for him so far. These have not been kind a couple of months so far. Champions League, it has been much better for him, but obviously Bundesliga, we're playing much more games than the Bundesliga, so I'm obviously gonna judge him on that, based on that. So for me, he gets a 6. I do think he's been played much better recently, but he's still been bad for most part of the season. That I can't really put him anything higher than a 6, to be fair. And I don't really think that he's been lower than a 6 either, just because he has, although he's not really scored or assisted that much, he has sometimes played pretty well. So that's why I'm putting him at 6. Coleman, difficult to judge. When he's played, he wasn't really that bad. He wasn't really that good either. I'm giving him a 6.5. But obviously he's been out for most of the part of the season, so that's that. And Julian Green, shit, I need to go. Julian Green, he's played 1 game where I think he's only played 1 game in a DFB Pokal, where I thought he didn't play too badly. So just based on that game, I'll give him a 7. I'll give him a 7. And I guess last but not least, I'll go with Ancelotti, who, I don't know, Ancelotti's been a very controversial figure so far, because, you know, he's been playing a system that most of us, let's be realistic, most of us have written off. Most of us have written off the 4-3-3, and he still continues to stick with it. Now, recently, he has actually admitted that, you know, he wants to play the 4-2-3-1 quite a lot more, so that's that. But the fact that it took him so long to actually realize that, I think that's a negative. So for that, I'm going to give him a 6. But because how we've been performing, you know, despite that, we've still been winning. Despite that, we've still looked motivated to actually go forward, to actually try and win games. And the fact that we've actually looked very, very good recently, I'm going to give him a 7 for that. So a 7.5 for that, because really you can't fault him. We've been winning. Ultimately, we have been winning, so I really can't really fault him despite the football not being not at the beginning or for the most part until like midway through, not really being spectacular or even good, to be fair. So I'll give him a 6.5 for the tactics and whatnot, a 7.5 for just that fact that we're actually winning, that he's actually able to squeeze out wins and whatnot. Overall, I'm giving him a 7. That's it. I don't rate the co-trainers because I don't know really what they do. I do know what they do, but I can't really say what exactly the input is besides obviously the training and whatnot and the tactics and the fitness. So I can't really make a judgment on that. So yeah, I'll leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everyone, and have a nice day. Bye. There probably won't be an image or thumbnail or whatever because I really need to go now. But peace out and have a nice day. Bye.